If I was a man, and I'm not a man, but if I was a man, I wouldn't hire a woman. I wouldn't do it. And I say it all the time, and I say that, and that is something that women need to consider when they're talking about this stuff. When you are saying that a man complimenting you and saying, I really like your outfit today, is a form of sexism. If you're a man, why hire a woman, right? So you fought all this time to be able to get into the workforce, only to say these are going to be the rules. You know, if you say anything, even if you compliment me, if you look at me, anything, I'm going to have a reason to fight you. And by the way, you're going to want to settle and pay me, because even just the stain of an accusation is enough to ruin men. So if you're a guy, right, in this society, in this Me Too environment, in this litigation rich environment of misogyny and sexism and all of these claims, what is the value add? What's the risk? You know, the benefit and the risk. I can't do the analysis and say, I'd just be like, no, I'm just not hiring one. Give me all the men.
A day in my life getting laid off at Google. So I woke up to this really ominous text from my boss, and I honestly had no idea what it was going to be about. So I called her the minute I woke up and saw this, and she told me to check the news and my email. So I rushed downstairs to find out that I had lost access to basically everything. I couldn't log into my email or even check my calendar. I called my boss back, and we just sobbed over the phone because she was also finding out about my layoff for the first time today too. I started getting calls from a bunch of my coworkers and started finding out who else was let go on my team, and some neighboring teams as well. But I think the worst part is that it seems like no one was consulted on this decision, and everyone was just finding out about the layoffs at the same time. It just felt like a really bad game of Russian roulette, and there was no consistency around who was let go. It was also not performance-based, so it just felt really random. I opened up LinkedIn, which honestly was not great for my mental health. There were so many people who were in the same boat that were both equally as shocked and blindsided, but it did help me feel a little less alone. Honestly, I spent so much of the day crying.
And as of today, then you're going to part ways.
I think I'm about to get fired. I've been having some issues with this company for quite a while. I couldn't come into the office today because I had a really bad migraine, and I told her, you know, I can log on later if I'm feeling up to it. I just am not feeling good. And now all of a sudden she scheduled a discussion in 10 minutes on Google Meet, and I believe I'm getting fired. I hate working at this company, so it's not like I knew I was going to get fired eventually. They are not willing to work with my accommodation whatsoever. I have some mental issues that they are refusing to help with. Some of the things that they have said to me, I've just been full-blown disgusted with. I'm almost considering seeking legal advice because I really don't know what to do. Like, my heart is pounding. I'm so pissed. I'm totally getting fired. That's cool.
Me Too was one of the biggest feminist mistakes in history, and that's an astonishing accomplishment considering how long that list of mistakes is. But now we're starting to see a change in society. It's a change that feminists did not predict and definitely did not want. Women are starting to be passed over for promotions, their resumes thrown into the trash, and in some cases, fired completely from their jobs. Modern women will try to cry the victim as they do in so many other arenas. They'll inevitably try to play the "but I'm a woman" victim card. But it won't work this time, because it's precisely the fact that she's a woman which has landed her in this mess. But it's not because employers are unfairly discriminating. That's actually a complete feminist myth. The only people women have to blame for this is feminism itself. Feminism has successfully pushed a movement that made hiring women in the workplace a complete financial liability for a business. In this society, the almighty dollar reigns supreme. When things start to cut into a company's bottom line, then and only then will change occur. And feminism, driven by mindless women, has successfully turned women into a serious risk for a company. And this is what happens when you put ideology before success. Your profits will tank and your business will close. This is also what we're starting to see in Hollywood and Disney with their endless woke washing and insufferable strong and independent female lead characters. These companies have successfully killed some of the most beloved franchises with the most loyal fan bases in our society. Star Wars, Doctor Who, and even Lord of the Rings have all fallen prey to feminist woke washing that has completely alienated the core fan base and driven profits into the ground. So now we're seeing a change there also. But before we go any further with the video, let me share today's comment of the day. Shout out to Orkin6, who said, "Schrodinger's feminism. A woman is simultaneously a victim and empowered until something happens. Then she chooses which state benefits her the most." Now that's a clever comment that you whipped up. Gotta love it. So please, don't forget to reach out to my email to claim your $5. As always guys, I'll pick one comment from each video, It may be the funniest, the most liked, or one that was just real clever. So don't forget to leave a comment and you may be the next winner. So be sure to hit that like and sub button as it helps the channel out a lot. So now, let's get back to the video.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow.
But let's get back to the workplace. The thing that kicked off this entire downfall for women was the Me Too movement. Now, it's important to be objective. We aren't feminists after all. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. The movement put away some genuinely terrible people. No matter which side of the fence you're on, Harvey Weinstein is a monster. But the positive aspects of the movement quickly fell off a cliff, and before you know it, the unintended consequences started to rear their ugly heads. The movement spiraled out of control, and suddenly, men started being accused of sexual harassment and abuse constantly without any need for evidence. This allowed the most toxic women in our society to step in and take full advantage of this for their own gain. And before the feminists respond to this by saying that almost never happens, let me point out something that you're almost not going to believe. There was even a book written by a woman teaching other women how to take advantage of the Me Too movement to destroy the men they don't like and gain power for themselves. The book was called How to Destroy a Man, and it gained a significant readership a few years ago. This book was basic training in how to destroy a man's life through false allegations. How can you possibly argue that this isn't an issue when there's been a book written about it for the general public? Let me read some of the book. And yes, it's just as bad as you would imagine. This woman has broken down the process of destroying a man into a goddamn system. This quote is about teaching women how to create a social media post that successfully destroys a man. In order to attract the proper attention, the post title and content you craft needs to include scandalous allegations about the man victimizing others by violating legal or ethical standards. Anything shocking can work, but crimes of sexual and violent nature against women and or children seem to work best. A few examples include rape or sexual assault, physical assault, an example, beating women, and pedophilia. Other vices, such as alcoholism and drug abuse, can also work but appear less effective, perhaps because victims are less apparent. Either way, both approaches are even more effective when phrased as helpful warnings to the public, most likely because they appeal to authorities' guardian and savior role by implying that weak people are presently at risk. For example, a post title could read as follows: "Warning, all women beware of rapist Dr. Joe A. Smith, MD ENT specialist." Further, while the post content requires more detail, it needs to be only about a paragraph in length for search engines to detect it, index it, and rank it highly in SERPs. Nevertheless, longer content is typically better in the eyes of search engines. As always, it's helpful to keep the fundamentals in mind and ask yourself, what will get the attention of Mary Media and Arthur Authority? As you can probably guess, crafting stories or sharing anecdotes with allegations chock full of scandalous details, sex, violence, victims, and potential victims works well. While most people won't actually click on the listings, seeing the post title and snippet is enough, search engines appear to rank listings linked to voluminous content higher in search results, and that's important because we want the public, media, and authorities to notice them. Also, it's obviously best to make the allegations anonymously if you want to protect yourself from any negative repercussions. You can refer to yourself simply as a victim or a friend of a victim in your posts. You can also help maintain anonymity by using a public internet connection, like at a cafe or a hotel lobby, or a virtual private network or VPN connection, if you're familiar with how that works to mask your home IP address. Further, some of the websites you'll be leveraging may ask you to register with a username and or email address. You can still guard your anonymity, however, by creating a generic username, like Karma Princess, and a throwaway email account through Yahoo, Gorilla Mail, Hotmail, and the like karmaprincess321@hotmail.com. Frankly, the websites do not seem to care who is actually posting. I suppose we should be thankful that the author is such a dreadful writer. I think for the reason alone, the book didn't reach as far into the mainstream as it could have at the time. Thank God for that. But this kind of thing was happening even if the book didn't reach a wide audience. Men were getting flooded with baseless false accusations. Suddenly, men who spent an entire working career building a respectable and dignified professional reputation quickly saw their years of hard work go up in flames, all because some new admin assistant wanted more social media followers and clout. And do you know what happened? The internet believed women. There was even the extremely popular hashtag #BelieveAllWomen, which was the most obvious form of feminist gaslighting I've ever seen. Feminism gave women a free pass to destroy men based on lies and created an entire movement convincing the population to believe their lies without evidence. And if you asked for evidence, suddenly you were a hateful misogynist and a part of the problem. Honestly, I can't believe how stupid this society can be sometimes. But this entire clown show had serious unintended consequences that women would pay for much later. Not all women are hateful feminists, but every woman has to pay the price for the actions of other women. And now women are having a harder time in the workplace.
So does it mean that I shut this computer off and be done? Or am I expected to answer more emails after this?
Hi. Thanks for jumping on.
No problem.
So I'm actually here to inform you that today is your last day at Cal. We've determined that this is no longer a critical role for the company and are eliminating the position. And we very much appreciate all the work that you've done during your time here. Your account will be shut down during the meeting and you will no longer have access to any owned systems. We do have some offboarding logistics to go over with you. And so I'm going to actually drop from the call now and hand it over to Danny from HR. So
we'll answer everything, the questions that you may have after the meeting. Is there anything that I can answer for you at the moment?
I honestly do not know. This is not planned or expected, so I honestly am very off base. So, no. If once you send me the package, will that be the email to answer and to ask any questions on?
Yes, and take your time. I know this is a lot. And,
it sucks. Not gonna lie, really sucks because I talked to yesterday. So, real. I know you don't hold any of the blame. Real pity.
We'll take your time and review the information that I send over to you, and be happy to help in any way we can.
Okay. So does it mean that I shut this computer off and be done? Or am I expected to answer more emails after this?
You have no more expectations.
Great. Love that for me. Thank you so much.
Take a look at this article from Forbes, which talks about this very issue. The unintended consequences of #MeToo just seem to get worse and worse. Initially, there was evidence that men were shying away from one-on-one interactions with women at work, including mentoring, one-on-one work meetings, and socializing. Now, new research reveals women may be less likely to be hired for jobs where they are required to interact with men. The new study found a shocking 21% of men and 12% of women report they are personally more reluctant to hire women for jobs that require close interpersonal interactions with men, like business travel. Research from LeanIn.org and SurveyMonkey last spring revealed that a whopping 60% of male managers were uncomfortable participating in common, job-related activities with women, such as mentoring, working alone together, or socializing together. And the Pew Research Center found 51% of employees reported feeling that #MeToo made interactions with the opposite sex at work harder. The movement made things more difficult for men and for women. On the whole, it was necessary for about a week. After that, it's been damaging to society. Giving women a free pass to make these kinds of allegations has made the working environment less hospitable for men who just want to do a good job. Employers are starting to notice that hiring a woman comes with some very real risks. The vast majority of HR complaints will come from a woman. And if you think I'm being sexist by saying this, let's remember what happened when women protested about equal pay in Iceland.
So 100,000 women went on strike today in Iceland to demand gender equality. The entire population is 370,000. So over 25% of the population went on strike. And I have some crazy news for you. The economy did not come to a stop and it continued as normal. The only memo I got was that HR departments were getting no complaints for the 24 hours that the women were on strike. And men were writing that they were really sorry women didn't get gender equality. But I heard one CEO said it was nice to finally get some shit done, end quote.
The economy did not change. The only thing that changed is the HR complaints evaporated for 24 hours and men were able to get some work done. Maybe Iceland should have convinced these women to stay on protest for another week and gather some more data. Maybe it would have been more productive to tell them to keep protesting indefinitely. The fact is, it costs employers money when women make consistent allegations like this, and it's a well-known fact that female aggression comes in the form of reputation destruction, innuendo, and gossip. These are the kinds of things that create a toxic workplace culture and ultimately make things much harder than they need to be. One of the most ridiculous things that the Me Too movement created was a deeper hypocrisy in society. This movement focused entirely on female sexual assault while being completely silent on any form of male abuse at the hands of women. And this is a thing that consistently happens that feminists don't care about in the slightest. I'm not saying we need feminists to care about it. It doesn't matter to us. But what I'm pointing out is that feminists say they exist for equality. If that were the case, they would draw attention to sexual assault on all levels regardless of gender. Obviously, they don't, because it's about power and control, not equality. This is yet another reason why the movement is a huge own goal for women by making their own lives more difficult in the workplace. Well done, ladies. The movement exacerbated the myth in society that women are these precious victims incapable of doing harm to a man. This could not be more wrong, and it left men wide open to abuse. Despite what feminism claims, women can be monsters in every sense of the word. To illustrate this point, let me tell you about a woman named Donna Hilton. This woman currently works as a professional victim. She's an extremely outspoken women's rights activist and a spokesperson for prison reform. She attends marches, protests, and is otherwise a fierce proponent of feminist propaganda. But what most people don't know about this woman, and what feminists absolutely don't want us to talk about, is that Donna Hilton has a very dark history. Back in 1985, she was quietly convicted for her role in the kidnapping, torture, and murder of a 62-year-old New York businessman named Thomas Vigliarolo. Alongside her friends, she captured him, drugged him, and tortured him for nearly 2 weeks with the intention of extracting a massive ransom for his life. Now here's where the details get dark. You've been warned. They stripped him, they beat him, they sexually abused and tortured him. They crushed his testicles with a pair of pliers. They burned him. They forcibly sodomized him by inserting a 3-foot steel pole into his anus, to which she commented saying he was a homo anyway. When I inserted it, he wriggled. Ultimately, Vigliarolo died after several days of torture. Hilton and her accomplices demanded $450,000 from the victim's family for ransom, despite the victim already being dead. She was thankfully sentenced to 25 years in prison for her role in the crime. But the insane part of this story, and the reason I'm telling you this, comes after she got out of prison. She somehow managed to frame herself as the victim and wrote a book about how her difficult childhood as a woman led to her doing the things she did. In her book, she framed herself as the heroic victim of the patriarchy. Her book was called A Little Piece of Light, and told the story of her heroic journey from darkness into hope. She also took the opportunity to criticize the patriarchal prison system because why the hell not? Feminism rapidly accepted her into their ranks and invited her onto countless women's rights marches and protests. Soon, she became one of the feminism's most outspoken proponents and a vocal Democrat. Now let me communicate just how insane this is. A woman abducts, tortures, and murders a man, and feminism accepts her with open arms. Maybe it's because it was a wealthy white man she killed. To bring this back to the topic of this video, the Me Too movement has created a series of unintended consequences, all of which are harmful to society. But now that women are being dumped by companies because they are a financial liability, maybe they will start to take accountability and reflect on what got them in this situation in the first place. Anything is possible, right? As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember that if you leave the best comment, you'll get $5. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads, drop a comment, and share it. See you in the next video. Till next time.